If you want to make sure that hosting this holiday season goes off without a hitch, you want to make sure you're not making any of these 9 interior design mistakes that I'm going to spill in today's video. These are things that maybe you haven't thought of, but they're going to make hosting so much easier for your guests, but most importantly, for you. Now, before we get into it, hi, my name is KB. Welcome back to the channel, and I'm your interior design fairy godmother because I teach you tips and tricks that help you achieve the luxe look for less. Now, before we get into today's video, I do want to say a huge thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video, but I'll tell you more about them later on. Let's get into today's video. And I'm not just making this video so that you will impress your guests, which of course I want you to do, but I'm also just sharing these things so that hosting is so much easier for you, because I think that hosting can be such a stressful time, or at least it is for me, and this just kind of makes the entire process so much easier. Interior design mistake number 1 has to do with bed making, but this is a really easy fix. You are not putting the sheets on correctly. So if you are dealing with a pattern sheet or a pattern quilt, you actually want to put the pattern face down, because when you make a bed, traditionally you're supposed to actually fold it back up, and when you fold it back up, you want to be able to see the pattern, because a lot of the sheet and a lot of the quilt is typically covered by your duvet and of course the associated duvet cover. So instead of putting the pattern face up where it's kind of lost when you fold it back down, you actually want to have the pattern face down so that you can fold it back up and it can be visible. Because you spend all that money on sheets, you might as well make sure that people can see the beautiful pattern. Now, don't follow this rule if you're just going to put a quilt on the bed and nothing on top of it, because then it will just look silly. But we're moving into hosting season, which is fall and winter, and it generally means it's going to be cold. So I think it's best to have more blankets. That brings me to interior design mistake number 2. You're not providing enough layers for your guests. So when you're hosting, I want you to practice the peel method. And this is going to apply whether you have a guest room, you have people sleeping on the sofa, an air mattress, it does not matter. I want you to make the bed peelable. This means there's going to be a sheet, there's going to be a quilt, there's going to be a duvet cover, there's going to be a throw or blanket at the base of the bed. We're not just doing this so that our bed looks magical, which of course we love, and if you want to learn how to make a bed properly, click here to go check out my video on that. But the main reason why we're doing this is so that the bed will be comfortable for that person no matter what. Do you remember when you were a kid and you'd go to a sleepover and your friend wouldn't give you an extra blanket and you'd be like freezing in the middle of the night and you'd be like covering yourself with like throw pillows? You never want that for your guests, and you also don't want them going through all of your closets in the middle of the night, or at least I don't. So when you have the peel method, they can just kind of peel things down and adjust to their comfort. And I promise you, this is the last bedding mistake, but this is a big one. A big mistake I see people make is that they will just throw lots of throw pillows on the bed instead of thinking about, again, someone's sleeping experience. Some people like to sleep with down, some people like really hard pillows, some people like really firm pillows. And if you're here on the channel, you know we buy all types of pillows here. So what I like to do, instead of really focusing on like the pretty decorative pillows, maybe I'll have 1 or 2, but I like to have a down pillow on the bed, a down alternative pillow on the bed, different amounts of thickness and firmness on the bed so that they can kind of find a pillow that suits their needs. When you go to a hotel, they oftentimes actually do this to make sure that you're not calling them in the middle of the night, be like, hey, this pillow is really uncomfortable. I don't think any of your guests are going to wake up and say, hey, I need you to run to the store and get me a down pillow because this one isn't working, but this is just going to make for a more pleasant sleeping experience. You can get pillows of many different comfort levels really, really easily. I'm happy to link some of my favorite ones down below, but just having an assortment is great. And if you actually don't have a partner, you sleep alone, most sets of pillows come in sets of 2 anyway, so you can just donate one from your bed to your guest's bed. So while I love hosting now and I'm so excited for the holiday season, that wasn't always the case for me. The holidays used to be a really, really difficult time. So if you don't know, I grew up in a very non-traditional family. My grandmother raised me when I was a kid because my parents were unable to do so. So the holiday season was just always super difficult because our Thanksgiving table didn't look the way everyone else's looked, and we'd have Thanksgiving with friends or like estranged family members, and maybe there was like a little bit of tension, and it just never was like the picture perfect holiday season. But with much growth and therapy and discussion, it's actually a time that I really, really enjoy now. But even with all of that, I often find the holiday season just kind of stressful. I want everything to go off like really, really beautifully. And of course I can follow all of my interior design tips and make that happen, but you can't control interactions. You can't control other people. You can't make sure everything goes perfectly all the time. That's something that I have had to seek help with dealing with. And I've done so with the help of BetterHelp, today's video sponsor. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to give you professional, helpful, unbiased advice. First, you go to BetterHelp's website and answer a few questions. Then BetterHelp will match you you with a trained professional with years of experience helping individuals with struggles just like yours. You can do it all from your phone or computer. You can either do it through phone, video message, or messages, whatever you feel most comfortable with, and is the easiest way to get started talking to a therapist. And one of my favorite things about BetterHelp is that sometimes they will give you resources through the BetterHelp website to help you with what you're working on. So whether that is a worksheet or just some reading that will kind of help you get a grasp of your situation, I think the resources are absolutely fantastic. Visit betterhelp.com/Kiva or choose DIY with KB during sign up for a special discount on your first month. I love BetterHelp. I love that I'm able to get the assistance that I need entirely from my own home. I'm able to put my mental health first while also working with my own schedule, and I love that. So the next interior design mistake that you might be making when hosting is forgetting to add a laundry basket to their room. So in an ideal world, when your guests leave, they are going to strip the bed, right? Woo, that would be amazing. That's not always the case, and that's fine. But there are still things that your guests are using during the time that require being laundered. So that's something like a dirty washcloth, a dirty hand towel, something like that. Maybe they accidentally spill something on the bed and they take off a pillowcase. Having a hamper available is going to make doing laundry when they're leaving, or just like compiling their laundry so that their room doesn't become like cluttered with stuff, so much easier when you're hosting. Something that drives me absolutely bonkers in hotels is the lack of lighting, and this is something that I want to make sure you're not getting wrong at home. So the interior design mistake I see people make all the time is not having a table lamp or like floor lamp or something that's easily accessible to your guests. I know you have overhead lighting and that's amazing, but think about the transition from day to night. Sometimes you want to wind down, maybe read a book, or maybe like scroll not in pitch black, and you want to make sure your guests can do that as well. I think it can be so awkward being like, okay, I'm going to bed, and you turn the light off at 8 p.m. and it's just like pitch black, and you're like, okay, I'm not ready to go to sleep. I just kind of want to wind down without other people around me. So you want to make sure you have some type of lighting. I will just have a table lamp that's like really easy to switch on and off. My guest room honestly is kind of funky, so I also have floor lamps right beside the bed, so they are adjustable in terms of height, and you can kind of swing them and type the light on and off so that people can suit their needs and they can sit in their bed and do what they need to do without having to stand up. And the lighting tip and this next tip are ones that I think are super paramount, because I think we forget that when you're hosting, that person doesn't want to be around you 24/7, and you probably don't want to be around that person 24/7, because no one is around anyone 24/7 for the most part. So sometimes you just need to be able to take a breather, and the same thing goes for your guests. So making sure that you have these things allows them to kind of go into their room and relax and not come back out, which can just be like really healing for some people. So another thing you want to make sure you're not forgetting in your guest room is some water. So it can either be a carafe that you fill up the first time, they can just kind of like go to the bathroom and refill themselves, or some bottles of water. It's something so simple, but what if you get thirsty at like 11 p.m.? I personally find it so uncomfortable to kind of like sneak out of my room and go get water from someone else's fridge in the middle of the night. Maybe that's just me. I could be thinking too deeply into it, but it's kind of nice to just like have water easily accessible to you. The same thing goes when you're in a hotel and they like didn't give you water and you're like, okay, I have to like walk to the 7-Eleven or go down to the lobby and ask the concierge like for a bottle of water, or where I can buy a bottle of water. I don't know. It's just like an unnecessary interaction. And sometimes people need water to take their pills, or maybe they just like have something stuck in their throat. It's a good thing to think about. This is design mistakes I've made so many times, and I'll make sure you don't make it. And that design mistake is not making sure your guests have enough towels. So some people use lots and lots of towels. Maybe they have lots of hair. Some people use one for their body, one for their hair. I mean, that's not something I ever thought of because I don't have any hair. I just need the one towel. Some people like washcloths, some people do not. So it's really important to make sure you kind of stock people up with towels. I like to make sure I give people at least 2 of every type of towel. So 2 washcloths, 2 hand towels, 2 body towels. And of course they have that laundry basket where they can throw it in there and let me know, hey Kiva, I need more towels or something like that. But making sure they have all the different types of towels is really important because some people do use washcloths, some people don't. Some people scrub, some people don't. Just making sure that they're available to people is really helpful. I think towels are something we like very easily forget to put out, but are super important. And also the hand towel. When someone washes their hands, sometimes they don't want to dry their hands on their normal towel. They want a hand towel, or maybe they'll walk out and get paper towels. This is a great way to cut costs for you because paper towels are kind of expensive, and to make sure they're able to get nice and dry. And along with that one, this one is not something that you necessarily have to do, but I also like to make sure that I put out the toiletries that they are allowed to use, if you will. Whenever you go to someone's house, sometimes you might forget like toothpaste or something like that, and maybe you'll end up going through the drawers. Maybe we shouldn't do this, but maybe you end up going through the drawers seeing if you can find something. I like to put out all the toiletries that my guests have access to on a little tray or something on my guest countertop, or I'll put like a little label on the drawer, be like, take me, you know, like those little labels that they had in like Alice of Wonderland. I'll make one of those and throw that on the drawer just so they know, hey, these are the things that you can use. You don't need to go through all my stuff. These things are available to you. Another design mistake I've made a ton when it comes to hosting is forgetting to put out a bath mat. Bath mats are super, super, super important. Whenever you go to a hotel and they forget to give you that little bath mat towel thing, you're like, holding on for dear life trying to get out of the shower. You don't want your guests to fall. You don't want the floor to be sopping wet. Just put a little towel down if you want them to use that as a bath mat, or lay it across the tub so that you signify, hey, this is to use as a bath mat. The final design mistake I don't want you to make when you're hosting this holiday season is forgetting to also give your guests someplace to lounge. Again, we want to sit and we want to hang out together and all of that stuff, but sometimes people just want somewhere to sit in their own room that doesn't involve them, you know, taking a shower and putting on their pajamas. I personally do not sit on my bed in my outdoor clothes. I'll sit on my sofa in my outdoor clothes, but not my bed. So sometimes when someone's hosting me, it's nice to have like a little chair or ottoman or stool to sit down, maybe sit back and read my book, get ready for the day. You know, if you were going to read, if you were going to meditate, wherever, to kind of center yourself before you start the day, maybe look out the window or something like that. My guest room doesn't have any windows, but you know, you get my point. It's just nice to have somewhere to sit that isn't just your bed. So just make sure you throw something in there. It could be a spare chair. It can be an ottoman, like I just said. It can be an extra dining chair, just a little thought. I'm saying, hey, you can sit here, decompress before you come out. I think that would be lovely. But those are the interior design mistakes that you don't want to make when you're hosting this holiday season. I promise you, if you avoid all the design mistakes I spoke about in today's video, hosting is going to go wonderfully. Your guests are going to want to stay extra, and you're going to want to open up a B&B because you're so great at it, and it's just going to be a so much more enjoyable experience for you, which is paramount. And again, if you want to give BetterHelp a try, just go to betterhelp.com/Kiva or choose DIY with KB when signing up for a special discount off your first month. Until next time, have a beautiful day.